What's going on, everybody? This is Danny made it back again with another playoff preview this time. We're going to start here. We're merging some videos together this time. Uh, but this merge is going to be Class A and B. Class B with Fishermadsenmedia. That one's going to be at the end of this. I'll put some chapters in there so you guys can skip or whatever you guys feel. But we're going to start off with Class A in the semifinals week. You're going to hear me say, if you watch all of the reviews or all of the playoff previews, that the semifinals week is the best and most exciting week of football. And I think that is going to hold true. It should be because there's a lot of great games, especially in this one. So obviously we have the two big teams in Class A, which is West Side and Miller South. So you have those teams, and that's what is expected to win. What the beginning of the year you kind of look at Class A and you say, West Side, Miller South, those guys are probably going to make it into the finals against each other. But I definitely don't think their routes are very easy, and I definitely think that compared to some of the other years these two teams or the top few teams are it's the gap is definitely very much smaller than what it has been before. So yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and get into the first game, which is Omaha North and West Side. So through the years, West Side has been the unanimous number one and just really good, the best team. Really, they won last year, and they were dominant in that year. They really just didn't draw close to anybody. So, um, I really liked this game. They played before, and I really liked. I thought that how Omaha North played them before was pretty fun and not. It was fun, and it was not a game where West Side just killed him because that's what you kind of saw, and it was early on in the season as well. So it was kind of refreshing to see a bit more competition and them not killing some of the opponents. But in regards to this game, I do think West Side does have an advantage here. West Side is a they have guys. They have a lot of guys. Their quarterback Warren. They have Tay Jenkins in the backfield as well. I think those guys lead the way really, and they rely on Tay Jenkins a lot. And Jenkins is very good. So I think that's a very reliable strategy to display on a week to week basis. But Omaha North, I really like how their offense is playing as of late. They really got Mikey Gal going, as a lot of us could see that he has a lot of potential and he just needs to get going, and which he has. So I really like that for West Side or Omaha North, my mistake. But I do think this game could be closer than the last because you guys know it is hard to beat a team twice. We've seen that Seward actually in later in this class they have struggled on those get back games, and they really have struggled on those. So maybe we can see a little bit here, but I think the West Side firepower is a lot to handle. But I do strongly believe that if Omaha North comes in here and plays their best game, they can really take advantage of this opportunity and put it down to the wire. I'm not 100% sure if they're going to win, but if they can put it down on the wire, I think that they have a really nice shot. So, unfortunately for Omaha North, I really like the guys on there: Darian Jones, Mikey Gow, Tyson Terry, the big three are right there, really, and then Connor O'Neill. And then you have the big left tackle. I cannot remember his name. I think that's Erickson or Connor Erickson maybe. He's awesome. I like the team a lot. When you kind of look at the roster on a deeper level, I got the chance to watch the game this season. They definitely load one of their sides of their offensive lineup a little bit more, personnel wise. I think that could be a little bit of a problem and has been a problem against some of those the left side of the defensive line defenders. So I haven't watched too much West Side film, so I can't really tell you how their left side defenders work and how good they are and how they match up against a presumably weaker side of the Omaha North line. But I really do like both of these teams, and I am excited that we have two matchups here that can be close. So I'm gonna pick West Side here. They're just very hot right now, and they haven't lost this year. So yeah, so I'm gonna pick West Side here, and we're gonna move on to Millard South versus number three Kearney. So this game, Millard South is my number one team. I think they are very, very good. They have so much offensive firepower. Jet Tamala at quarterback. You have Chase Lofton at tight end. You have Marion Jones or Jackson at wide receiver. This is just a monster offensive head there. So it's really tough to defend them. But if there's a team that can defend them, that would be the Bearcats. The Bearcats have one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in Class A. Really, really like how they've played this year. They shut down Omaha North's offense. They had one big play in that game, really, or a couple, if you want to count some like a 25-yard run from Jared Cannon, um, Jaron Cannon. But this Carney defense is very good. What you kind of like to see a little bit more out of this Carney team is a more of offensive output. They have the guys to do it. Maybe I think that it's not entirely the player's fault. It's just how the cookie crumbles a little bit and situation scenarios. The defense does put them in the game, and they kind of like to rely on that defense and maybe run the ball a little bit more, kind of get their offensive rushing game going. So I do like Carney a lot, and I do think that this is another game that could be decently close. Miller South has already won against Carney, I believe. Um, but man, I like how Carney has been playing as of late. But again, it's just kind of similar to that Omaha North and West Side game where this team, the Bullard North or Millard South, is just really, really good and they're hard to beat. So I think that offense they have such a deep offense where I think that it's just going to be too hard to stop them defensively, even with a really good defense. I think that this is one of the best offensive we've ever seen in Class A and maybe even Nebraska football. So I am going to pick Millard South here. And yeah, that's going to conclude for the Class A playoff preview semifinals. Um, I'm excited to watch this week unfold, and I'm not going to do a fantasy draft through here, but Class B will have a fantasy draft because we do have a guest, so it's a little bit easier for the fantasy draft wise to have a guest on there. So now we are going to head over. Buddy, this is Danny Made It and Fisher back again with another Class B playoff preview. This week, in my opinion, is the best week of football. The semifinals. So yeah, we're gonna hop right into this. I'm excited to talk about these games. As I said earlier, like a few seconds ago, this is the best week of football. I think that a lot of these guys are going to really like this week or really hate this week, and the stakes are pretty high. Um, and sometimes, in a lot of cases, these semifinal games, it's more exciting heading the state than actually winning it. I remember
Right.
in my high school career, the semifinal game was probably the best game that I've ever played in. So I think that either way, a bunch of guys are going to have a lot of fun, and it's going to be a hard week of practice for these teams. And yeah, so let's get right into it. We're going to react a little bit to last week. We're going to start off with the fantasy teams, of course. Um, Fisher is in the lead right now. He has 115.7 points, and I have 86. Although only three of my players are counted. We're still waiting on a couple, waiting on Fisher's quarterback as well. But everyone outside of that for Fisher's team is good. So some of the
I'll
notable
take it.
yeah, some of the notable performances. Edison Knott, as of right now, has the highest points, which I drafted. And then Alex Utchman for you, he had 28.2. And then your
Oh
star
yeah.
receiver that you drafted had a really good game. I think he had 120 yards or something more. He had 33.8 points, so that was a good pick late in that draft.
Sick.
So let's
You know, oh, I wish I could perform like that in like my fantasy league with my friends. Like, why can't I do that then? Why is it high school? Come on.
But let's
Nah,
react to
I love it. I love it.
yeah, so let's react to some of the games from last week. I went perfect in my picks. I think you picked Gretna East, did you? I'm pretty sure you did.
I picked Gretna East and I picked Scotts Bluff, so I went two and two, I think. But I mean, those two games, Seward and Scotts Bluff, like I was like, it's not a completely outlandish result. Like it adds up. So I'm not too upset with picking wrong in those two.
Yeah, the biggest surprise I would say is another Seward where they came out and they didn't look as good as they should against a team that they've already played. Week one, Seward actually played Gretna East and they won that game 41-24, and then they came back out uh, and won 28-21. So kind of disappointing again a little bit, but luckily this week they don't have another rematch on their schedule. So we've seen them
Right.
struggle in rematches. So, but Scotts Bluff, that game, I think that game was pretty tight coming into halftime, and then they kind of ran away with it. I might be wrong, but that's kind of remember it's a couple days ago at this point. So. Yeah, it was a pretty tight week. It's any given Friday with this Class B class. It's really hard to predict. Um, so yeah, so let's get into the full preview now. We're gonna start off with the number one seed taking on the number five. That's Bennington versus Elkhorn North. This is another rematch. Bennington already won this game 6-20. I have some stat stuff on this, so I'll let you go first. What do you have for this game?
I mean, in the first round, or sorry, in the last round, Bennington did Bennington things. I was kind of impressed seeing North take Scottsbluff 30-6. I think I would call that a statement win. That Elkhorn North is not playing around. They're hungry
Yeah.
and they want to win. And their last game against Bennington was was close. It was 20-6, but I think other than the Scut loss, that was Bennington's closest game of the year. I like North's offense. Putting up 30 points in Scotts Bluff is pretty cool. Bennington's defense is good, but then again, North's defense is good if you're only holding a very unique Scotts Bluff offense to 6 points. So this is gonna be an interesting one.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think this is a game where two really good defenses are going to square off. Um, last time Elkhorn North held Bennington to 20 points, which is not an easy feat, I believe. But one of the notable things from that game is they had a sophomore quarterback starting for the Badgers, and their Houston Hill, which is in top bit for passing yards in Class B, he will be back, I believe. So I think that's a huge thing for Bennington, and I'm not quite sure if he played for that Scut game, which this Houston Hill thing could really just put a change in things. I haven't seen too much about it, but I think that it could really alter my opinion on some of these Bennington games. But anyways, uh, as we talked about earlier, Bennington already won this game 6-20. Let's talk about some of the stats in this game. Neither team had really any rushing success at all. Bennington as a team had 3.5 yards per carry. Will Guts had 4.3 on 130 yards. Um, Bennington did have some passing success though, and then I think that Houston Hill might be a little more of a better passer than that sophomore quarterback. So I think that could be very dangerous for Elkhorn here. For Elkhorn side, they didn't really get anything going. Running the ball, Jet Tinglehoff had 1.8, and they had 2.8 or 2.1 yards per carry as a team. So running the ball is probably not going to be an option, which that's not their strong suit anyways. They are a passing team, I believe. I think that's where their strength lies. Their quarterback did throw two interceptions last time against Bennington, and then Bennington threw one. So I think this is going to be another relatively low scoring game. But I don't
Yeah.
see a route where Elkhorn North uh, really wins this game. I don't really think, but it is Class B. I think that Houston
You
Hill
never
edition.
know.
Yeah, you never know with Class B. It's really tough. But I think that Houston Hill edition is just going to be really, really nice for Bennington because I think
Yeah.
that they've had that groove with him. So yeah, I'm gonna let you. Do you have anything else on this game before we get to the picks?
Um, I got a little bit of a different take. A little bit. I think North, in the past, whatever it is, let me pull up their schedule. But since that loss to Bennington to close out the season, I mean, they had a big win. What is happening? Oh my gosh, my sound went on. Sorry. Um, where was I? Since that loss to Bennington, they've kind of done a really good job in the playoffs. I personally, they're doing better than I expected. So I think it's going to be a challenge for Bennington. I don't know if that's a challenge where Elkhorn North is able to pull it out, but I do think Scotts Bluff, Elkhorn North has faced a lot better competition in the playoffs. Because the past two rounds, Bennington had McCook and Northwest, I think, were the two teams, and Elkhorn North had Elkhorn, who is really solid, and Scotts Bluff, who I low key had going to the championship, but that's okay. But those are two really good wins that I don't think Bennington has had for a while. So I think it's going to be pretty. I think it's not a foregone Bennington win, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can completely understand that. That's where kind of the number one seed kind of sucks a little bit. You don't play as good
Right.
of teams, and then you get thrown into one of the best teams in the state. After not beating some great teams, but um,
For
yeah.
sure.
Uh, I think Bennington is just a really tough team, and I think that they're always going to be in this semifinals position and maybe even the finals position because that's just what they do. We'll go to the
Yeah.
picks. I'm going to let you start with this one first.
I I'm not gonna lie. I think I'm gonna take Elkhorn North. They're coming off a statement win. Um, they Bennington. I mean, they had that loss at Scott to snap that super long winning streak. So it's like it's not like Bennington is completely untouchable.
Mhm.
And I mean, North came close in the last one, and it's playoff football. Two straight great wins. North. I got North, but it's gonna be close. It's gonna be like what, 20 to like 21, like maybe a 1 point game.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that Elkhorn North has no chance in this one because, as we've seen with the Scott game, Bennington does have a little bit of a weakness. I do think that Elkhorn North and Scott kind of have like a close enough defense. So, and then that game was just it was a momentum fest, and that's kind of what this Class B tournament has been. Just you kind of go for that momentum and let it carry you. But I think that addition of Houston Hill is really just gonna put Bennington over the top here. I think they're gonna win this game. I don't think this is another one of those games where it's hard to beat a team twice just because of the quarterback change. So I do think Bennington's gonna win this one. I have Bennington here. And then for
Honestly valid.
Yeah, and then for the second game, who's going to meet Bennington or Elkhorn North in the championship? This is Seward or Omaha Skutt. Um, Another game that's pretty interesting to me. Um, Skutt or not Skutt, Seward. Another game where I kind of came away a little disappointed. I think they went on a 21-0 run in this game against Gretna East, I believe.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah. Seward has had ridiculous. I don't want to say luck because obviously football's a lot of skill, but looking at those last two results, Seward got really, really lucky against Pius and really, really lucky in that last game against East, like coming back. Like it was a 1 point game, right?
Yeah, well, it ended out being a 28-21. It was a one score game, yeah.
Okay, one score game. Pius
Yeah.
was the 1 point. Yeah, so it's
Yep.
like that's pretty darn close. But again, it's Seward. They're a good team.
Yeah, when you talk about luck, of course, yes, there is luck, but on these undefeated teams, at some point we have to kind of look at it and go, these guys know how to win. And that's kind of how I view Seward a
Yeah.
lot. They know how to win, and by a lot of ways they do. Maybe they're not the prettiest ways of winning, like we've seen the last 2 weeks off of a trick play at the goal line or a late comeback effort. So I do think these guys know how
Doesn't
to win.
matter. A win's a
And
win.
yeah,
A win's
and
a
their
win.
record shows. I think their best win up to this point is that Scottsbluff team, which Scottsbluff was a really nice team. And yeah, so I think Gretna East was also a pretty good win uh, because of that comeback. I think they might have just locked things in on that second half. But anyways,
Right.
this is a tough game because Omaha Skutt is just on fire right now. That offense is really hard to be stopped. They have two Player of the Year candidates on their offense, Dylan Van Dyke and Joe Kolga. Those guys are really solid, and I think that it's going to be really hard to stop them. I'm looking at their schedule right now. They have not faced a passing unit quite like Omaha Skutt. You see Scottsbluff on there, you see Waverly on there. Those guys, they're going to run the ball, and they have not. I don't think really they don't have an opponent on here that can pass the ball or their identity is passing the ball. And if it is, and I'm mistaken, it's certainly not like Omaha Skutt's. What do you have on this game?
Seward knows how to win close games. I will admit I was a bit of a Seward doubter. I still think there's a slight bit of luck involved, but you cannot deny they're undefeated and came off a win against Gretna East, who I really, really thought had the advantage in that game. So Seward's pretty good, and they know how to win close games. To me, the problem for the Seward Blue Jays here is that Scott doesn't do close games. Other than I think no, they've scored more than 35 in almost every game so far. They don't really do close, if that makes sense. So I think this is gonna be I think Scott's kind of got it.
Yeah, and then you mentioned they don't do close games, and that can kind of bite you sometimes when you go against a really good team and it's a close game and you haven't really had the experience of the adversity. Um, yeah, you said I'm looking at the schedule right now, and then their closest game was at
Yeah,
Oak
like
North game, but
and then I think at the beginning of the season, I think uh Scott won a closer one against Norris, but I'm saying like Scott doesn't do that. They come out early and they come out swinging, and they're a pretty tough squad.
yeah, Scott is a very, very awesome team. I'm gonna look at the box score here and just
Go for
check
it, yeah.
how they kind of went against some of a good rushing attack, which Seward isn't known for their rush. I do like Seward's offense a lot, though. They're kind of dynamic
Stewart's
and
offense is a lot of
diverse.
fun.
It is a lot of fun.
It's a
They have
really fun offense, honestly.
Yeah, Seward. They pass the ball. They get it in the air. Their quarterback can run and pass. Their running back at us not can get outside the backfield and receive some passes. He contributed to my fantasy team a little bit catching the ball, but I really like that offense. It's as you said, it's fun and yeah, so I'm looking at this box score now. Nathan Axman of Waverly, he had 5.4 yards per carry. So I think that we know that Waverly is a really good running team, and they did have 145 yards on the ground with just Nathan Axman. But outside of that, they really didn't have anybody that went too crazy. Passing wise, they did get Waverly in little bit of passing situations, but the quarterback Carter McMillan, he had 13 completions for 20 yards on this one, and he threw a touchdown and no interceptions. So I think that stat line from last game is a little promising whenever I go back and look at it for Seward because kind of they should have some offensive success here against Scott. So this is a game that I actually think is going to be a little bit of the opposite. I think that this game is going to be a little bit of a shootout, actually. I think that if both of these offenses keep going and get going, they're going to score a lot of points. And I think that Seward needs to know this. If you're watching this, you guys cannot get out slow against You cannot play
Yeah.
this game like you did against Gretna. If you get out and they're scoring and you have no momentum going, Omaha Skutt's not going to let you come back. They have too much firepower on offense, and you really just have to start off fine. You don't have to start off crazy hot. You just have to start off pretty strong though. So, um, with that being said, do you have anything more about this game before the picks?
Um, Not really, no.
Okay, well, we'll get to the picks. I'll go first in this one. I think that this Omaha Skutt offense is just really high powered, and I think that with the high scoring game prediction, I say that Omaha Skutt is going to win this one. I think that they have a little more upside when it comes to the high scoring games.
Yeah, Scott has a lot more experience um blowing open games that should be close. Um they did allow 3 touchdowns against Waverly, and the fact that that's the only like that's the only sort of cause for concern they had last week is like they're I don't think that's something to be worried about if I'm Scott. Um, Respect to Seward. I don't know if they can hang with Scott. I honestly have it being worse, a worse blowout than Waverly was. I got Scott maybe 38-14
Yeah, this is like I think that this is like the best team that Seward has played this year. I think easily,
without a doubt.
and I don't think they've played some of these top tier teams. Of course, Scottsbluff was there, but they were kind of like the fringe top 1, 2 tier. So I am definitely interested in this game. I'm probably going to tune in on Huddle. I hope they're on, but maybe they're on Strive or YouTube. So hopefully I can find that game because I'm definitely going to watch it. This game is pretty interesting. And with that being said, uh, so let's go over kind of who we think is going to be in the championship. You said you have Elkhorn North versus Scott in the championship, and I have Bennington versus Scott in the championship. So I guess we'll see who's
I
right.
can
And
totally,
yeah,
can
so
totally see the rematch happening too,
oh yeah, that'd be a really awesome story as well.
for real.
But I do like the underdog story that could happen as well. The Elkhorn North versus Seward. I think that would be really fun, especially if you look back before the season and you say Elkhorn North and Seward in the finals. Yeah, I think that this semifinals Friday is going to be awesome, and we're just going to head over to the fantasy football teams. So we are going to slim it down here just because the player pool is a little bit shorter. We are going to go one running back and one wide receiver. So that means one quarterback, one running back, one wide receiver, a tight end, and a flex. So we got 5 players to pick from, and we're going to give you first pick again here. Who are you taking in this Class B semifinal Friday as your first pick?
I got Joe Collega from Scott. I think he's a ridiculously good player who's going to get a ridiculous amount of yards and hopefully a ridiculous amount of fantasy points.
Yeah, he's a guy that's just going to get a lot of fantasy points every week for you because he gets the ball a lot. So for my picks, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna take Will Guts from Bennington. I think that
That's
Bennington's
your
gonna
guy,
have.
right?
Oh yeah, he's drafted him every single time, and I think the story would fit here if I take the Bennington boys again. I'm taking Cooper Johnson again.
I
I got these two.
no
So
reason not to.
I mean, yeah, I think these guys should have a good game. And now for your wraparound pick.
Um, I'm gonna take. Let's see. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Ed Knott, straight out of Seward. For he's a running back, right? Can I put him at my running back, or would
Yep,
he have to be a flex?
he can be
Cool.
right back.
And then give me Ethan Beachy from Elkhorn North
Okay.
for my quarterback. Well, we'll see what he can do against Scott, or not Scott, Bennington. I think the game has the potential to go for a lot of points.
I
Even though
think
it's
so.
like two good defenses, I could totally see it going a lot of points. So give me the Beachy. See what happens.
That's an interesting pick. For my next pick, I'm gonna save my quarterback just since you just taken it, took it. Wow.
Sure.
Anyways, um, this is where it kind of gets a little after these first few picks, it kind of gets a little tough. You got some of these guys that aren't lighting up the scoreboard, but who did light up the scoreboard last week was Jack from Seward, the receiver. He had an awesome game for you. I'm gonna take him here. He's gonna be my flex. And then for my tight end, I'm gonna take Hudson uh from Bennington. So I think that that's gonna round it out for my positions outside of my quarterback. So who's your next one?
Um, I don't even know of another tight end, if I'm being honest. I think you had another tight end on the board.
Hayden
Who
Burhu
was it? Because that's
from
probably
Seward.
Hayden Brew. All right. Hey, welcome to the team. Welcome to the team, Hayden. Um, and then I still need a flex. And with the teams I've got, I think my team is literally just turning into Elkhorn North. Give me maybe Alex Uchtman from Elkhorn North for my flex.
Yeah, he's relatively well, he is one of the best players, but when you go look at the defense he's playing, it's not too promising, but he is a receiver, so he can it's the
I
running.
get
Yeah, I mean,
I
that's a fine
I
play.
think I have what two Wolves on the team right now, so we'll see what happens. I'm trusting you guys.
You better hope that the Wolves do good, otherwise your fantasy team might suffer a little bit.
It's probably fine.
But for the Mr. Irrelevant in this week's draft, this guy he's going up against a team that I was a little disappointed in. Um, as I said last week, his leading receiver uh, happens to be by the name of Joe. So another Mr. Irrelevant pick for Dylan Van Dyke here. So 2 weeks in a row.
That's a good
Um,
pick.
yeah, I think that he has a lot of passing upside and I think that he can really get it done against a Seward team that really hasn't faced a team passing like Scott does, and um, I think that he's going to get it done, like I said. But yeah, that's going to conclude the playoff preview for this week. It's an exciting week of football, and I'm really excited to sit down on my couch and watch Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, and also have some high school football on as well. So I'm not going to make it out
Are
to
you
the
going
games.
to you're not making it the game? Yeah. I think I might be taking the week off as well. Friday Night Lights gets a little exhausting after doing it every week. I'm not gonna lie.
Actually, I might stop by in Norfolk. We'll see kind of how that goes. The Norfolk Catholic and whatever game. I don't remember. Kearney Catholic, that's who they play. But yeah, thank you for coming on again. Just another reminder, where can we find you on your socials for some of the new
Instagram,
watchers? I will put his name in the
Fishermadsenmedia
bio, so
and stuff.
for the title, I mean,
Sure.
so you can find him there.
Hey, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Danny, shout out Danny made it. He's been ridiculously good with content this year.
Appreciate that.
So
I'm excited for
love seeing
basketball.
it. No, basketball is gonna be so much fun. I can't wait for that.
Oh yeah, it's always pretty fun. But yeah,
For sure.
appreciate you for coming on. Hopefully, one of us has perfect picks going into this finals state championship week, and maybe I'm planning
Hey,
some
we'll see
things
what
about
happens.
yeah, I'm planning some things about the state championship week. Are you going to take pictures there?
I should be at every game except D1. And
Okay.
I was kind of sad. I was really looking forward to D2 because I thought Sandhill Stedford would make it. But then I saw Kyle Cox got hurt. And then
Yeah,
I was pretty sad about that one.
yeah. Actually, funny story. We're gonna end this off on a little bit of a weird note, but I kind
Okay.
of I looked at his Instagram last week. It was a little sad, of course,
Yeah.
but holy smokes, that play he had in that little league game. Did you see that? I've never seen anything like that. I know it's crazy that we're
Oh
talking
my
about the
gosh.
little league game. The
Yes.
one-handed catch and he's spinning around. That was pretty fun.
He's a dog. It was so I there was so much sadness in my heart when I saw that post, like where he was
Yeah.
like done.
But that was pretty surprising from
So,
Riverside. But anyways, I have some plans here for the state championship week. I'm gonna reveal some of the players of the year on this week. I have a lot of plans, a lot of content coming out, and maybe some watch parties for these state championship games. So
oh,
that should be some pretty fun. Maybe have some guests
yeah.
on. We'll see what happens. But again,
Oh,
thank you for coming on, and thank you everyone for tuning in. It's always fun doing these playoff previews. What's not fun is editing them, but it's fun sitting here and talking about it. So I like talking about high
for
school
sure.
football, and these guys give me some work to do. And yeah, so thanks everybody again, and we'll see you guys next week for the finals.